Hello, welcome back. Um, this is definitely a different kind of video from anything I've ever posted on the channel or even recorded, if I'm being completely honest, but there's just some things that I've been thinking and feeling recently, and I don't know, I guess I figured it would be better to kind of just get them out and talk about it. I wish I could say that it's easier to do it when nobody's here versus to an actual person, but even that's still a little difficult for me. Never really been good about expressing feelings, or even not only that, but turning feelings and thoughts into words has always been very difficult for me too. So, but I don't know. Recently, I've been feeling I've been feeling a lot of, I guess, just like I'm not really doing anything meaningful with my life, if that makes sense. And, you know, there's no worries. I'm in a good headspace. Like, it's not anything like that, but it's just, I figured maybe it'll help a little bit to kind of just talk about it and see what happens from there. But I have a lot of like, I guess, people in my life that are doing some pretty cool and, like, one could say important things, like job-wise or career-wise, I guess, and not only that, but life-wise, like, getting married or having kids and whatnot, you know, a lot of different things. And that's not always meant for everybody, but, you know, and another thing, I guess, to add on to that, that's been bothering me for a long time, a couple years, is, so I'm the oldest brother, right? I have 3 younger brothers, and man, I love those guys to death. I'll tell you, I could talk about that all day, but it's really difficult being an older brother who, you know, is supposed to kind of set the path, or I guess kind of lead the way into life, you know, like that's somebody who hasn't finished life like your parents. You know, your parents have finished life. Well, I guess not finished life, but, you know, they're at a certain point where they're closer to the end goal, you know what I mean? Like, they're way, way closer than their kids are, you know? So the older brother is kind of the person who is trailblazing in the beginning, you know? They're figuring things out on their own, but they also have people there kind of guiding them. But, like, they're supposed to be figuring it out before the younger siblings. And that's something specifically that I've been thinking about that I feel like I have not done. And I guess it's actually been really difficult for me. You know, so I guess I just feel like, you know, when my younger brothers think about me, or if I'm ever brought up in conversation, now that I'm living on my own, you know, working full-time, 40 hours a week, sometimes more, paying my bills, I have my own apartment, car insurance, got my own car, all that stuff, right? So but I don't know. I guess that specifically has been very difficult for me. You know, just because I've always been very close with my younger brothers. You know, we were raised close. We grew up together. We're only a couple of years apart in terms of age. So we were very, very close. And, you know, ever since I was young, I've always wanted my younger brothers to think that I'm cool, you know, I'm a cool older brother. You know, he's funny, he's cool. You know, he works hard. He's doing something with his life. You know, because that gives them motivation to kind of get out there when it's their time and do something. You know, because everybody's different. I'm not doing the same thing my parents were doing when they were my age. And, you know, I don't expect my younger brothers to do the same thing that I'm doing. You know, everybody's different, so... So yeah, that's been pretty difficult specifically. My younger brothers are getting to the point where they're trying to figure out, you know, what they want to do or what they need to do in life. And I guess it's just getting to me, it's kind of like, I don't want them to look at me and be like, oh man, like, you know, that's not really what I want to do with my life. It's, you know, he's not exactly, you know, making bank. He's not making millions, you know, or whatever, you know, right? Whatever your definition of successful is. And so that kind of sucks, you know, because we've got some pretty good competition. You know, a lot of people in our family have worked hard to kind of get where they are today. And then there's kind of just me over there. Like, I kind of feel like the odd man out, or like the black swan. I don't even know if that's a saying, but like, you know what I mean? It's just, there's all these people doing different things and they're all pretty interesting and cool and unique. And then like, there's just me, like, just kind of working, not really towards a specific goal or anything like that. And so that's been pretty difficult. You know, because I want my younger brothers to do good things, and regardless of if they're making good money or not, you know, just doing something you enjoy. Like, I feel like enjoying life is just a little bit more important than kind of just going through the motions just to make money so that you can live. Like, obviously that's important, right? You have to make money so you can live. But I'd rather work a job that I enjoyed for the rest of my life than do something that I hated and just resent life, I guess. So, but I guess aside from that, like, one could take a look at, you know, me and say, oh, well, you know, this and that, and you got this going for you and that, and I'm, you know, that's all. It is good, you know. I'm paying my bills. I got my own place. That's cool. It is. I think it's kind of cool, you know. Like, getting out there and getting on your own it's not as easy, I guess, as people make it sound. You know, everybody has to do it. Everybody's got to do it, but sometimes it can be a little more difficult than I guess you'd think it would be. And then, like, I have a very supportive family. Like, they're nice. They're just kind people, but it's hard. Like, I have a lot of, I guess, like, creativity in me. Like, that's one of my skills, is like, I'm a very creative person. I have a lot of ideas, but I don't know how to apply them. And then, you know, I guess one thing that I struggle with specifically is just not being able to apply myself to things that aren't necessarily like a priority in my mind, right? Like everybody thinks priorities are different. You know, some people's priority is going to school or whatever, right? And if it's not something that's a priority in my mind, I'll procrastinate or I just won't even do it outright. And then I don't know. It's difficult for me to talk about it if I'm being completely honest. Like, I don't know. It's just like I try and find the words, and like when I try and say them, they just kind of get like they get lodged. Like it's hard to like let the words out, like the real words, I guess, if that makes sense. And I'm sorry the gameplay is boring. I don't really know what to do, but it's kind of the same way in life. Like I don't really know what to do or like what to pursue. And like I have things that like would interest me, you know. Like I enjoy making videos, I enjoy playing games. That's always been my escape from it all, I guess, right? You know, like ever since I was a very young child, like video games have always just kind of spoken to me. And I made videos for years and years, and it would be something that I would be interested in, I guess, but also there's that kind of like scariness of just jumping into something. Like obviously I would never quit my job and make videos full time. That's ridiculous. But like when you work so much, there's just no time for anything else, you know. And I'm living on my own, so my friends and family, I kid you not, are a little more than 1,000 miles away from me at all times, with the exception of my brother, who's, you know, a couple hours away from me. But he's, you know, he's in school. He's doing what other people would consider is like on his way to success. And I swear, like I really am not trying to sound like bitter or anything, but like it's something that he's interested in, and I'm very glad for him. But at the same time, it's like I just feel bad. It's like I'm supposed to be the one to kind of set the groundwork, you know, but instead he's figuring things out on his own. And I guess that's just really tough, you know, because I love my younger brothers with all my heart. You know, they're very, very close to me. I'd say, honestly, most of the love that I have is probably for those guys. And so it's not easy kind of feeling this way. And I don't know, it's like, it's not my family that's making me feel this way. It's just my own kind of insecurities and doubts and whatever, right? Your own worst enemy is yourself kind of thing. But I don't know. It's a very difficult thing to have in the back of your mind without like an explanation, or like without a solution, I guess. Like it's just there and it never changes, at least for me. So, you know, but it is nice to, like I said, you know, you jump on the game, you play with your friends or your brothers or whatever, and you can just kind of get away from it all. But then at some point, you know, go to bed, wake up, and then it's just the same thing. Same thing every day. And the worst part about that is it's just not something that you enjoy. Like, if you can wake up and you've got a job or something that, like, you know, you can look forward to, is, I'll be honest, I'm a little jealous. You know, that's not something that that's not something that's in my kind of day-to-day routine, you know. It's just, it's kind of just the same thing over and over, and it's just not something that I really enjoy, and it's honestly very draining. It's hard. It's hard to find motivation. At this point, I guess it's just like, you know, you already feel this way. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it's gonna get any better. Sometimes it does, you know, everybody's got good days and bad days, but I guess today was just a little bit of a rough day for me, you know. But yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of what the video is. Sorry if that was a little sad or depressing, you know. It's not intended, just kind of sharing my thoughts. I don't always feel that, you know, things suck as much. A lot of the times I've got good days, you know, jumping on the games especially. Like, one of my favorite things to look forward to is the end of a long week, you know. Sometimes just those weeks are just so long, school and work and whatever. It's just, it's so much. And then one of the things I look forward to is the weekend. I get to play games with my brothers, my friends. I get to see my girlfriend. That's always nice. I love her. And, like, I can just kind of enjoy it. I get to enjoy it pretty frequently, but it's not always sunshine and rainbows, I guess. But you know what they say. I guess we'll leave it off on a good note. Is, I get it, you know, if anybody else feels this way, that's natural. I'm sure everybody's felt this way. It would be stupid to assume, you know, nobody's had bad days. Everybody does, but, you know, things look up. Things get better. People figure it out. Life's not easy, nor is it simple, but I feel like it all kind of has a way of working out in the end. You know what I mean? Things happen for a reason, good and bad. And you just gotta kind of wait for the good things to start happening and then enjoy it while they're there. So I guess take this away is, the sun always rises.